Crazy. Bum 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 bum. I'm so crazy for you. Crazy. Remember that song by Patsy Cline back in the day? Well, this is pretty relevant today. Now, this is American in Distress. That is my helmet. That's my flag. I was never in a war. I was more the peacekeeping type. Matter of fact, I served on the peacekeeping force two tours. And one was in the Sinai Desert, south of Elad, Israel. A lot of history. I spent a lot of time there learning about the area. But that's my helmet. Nope, I was never in a war, boys. Only the peacekeeping force. Landmines and people sniping at you for no reason. But it was an experience and I loved it. And I'm glad it's over. I would never do it again. Now, I've been doing a lot of research here, studying on these fast breeder reactors, sodium cooled reactors, sodium lithium cooled, and or they're fast neutron reactors they're called sometimes. It's where the uranium-235 can be efficiently converted into plutonium-239 over 94. They can produce 20% more fuel than it consumes. And the good thing about these is you can make the atom bomb. Now back in the 40s, these are the reactors everybody were making. They were sometimes called heavy water reactors. Germany was the first to experiment with these. And they went pretty far with their experiments, actually. And what happened is everybody was in a hellfire hurry to get the atom bomb, so they put up these reactors not knowing what what the effects would be on the environment or the people or anything else. Is that everybody just wanted the damn bomb. That was it. Everybody was all hell-bent on war back in those days. Well, they still are. But now there's plenty of bombs, so they use the water-cooled reactors, which are, I mean, they make a lot of nasty stuff, but the byproducts weren't even close to nasty as the fast breeder reactors were. But I'll get to that in a minute. Now, this is from the Smithsonian.com website, and it says here, the forests around Chernobyl aren't decaying properly. I'll try to zoom this in. I'm holding this with my hand. I got people here making noise, my cat in my lap, so bear with me, please. It wasn't just people, animals, and trees that were affected by radiation exposure at Chernobyl, but also the decomposers, insects, microbes, and fungi. And it goes on to talk about the animals and the behavior of the animals, how it changed, and even the animals having smaller brain size. Smaller brain size, remember that. Now you can look that up. It's on the Smithsonian article in Chernobyl and American in Distress again. And my next one is going to be, this is just a few sites of the radiation research. I mean, I just put this up because you can get the drift. And it's just talking about the strange behavior of the animals, the birds, and after being affected by radiation at Chernobyl and other places. And it just goes on and on. There's all kinds of articles about odd behavior of the animals and the brain size shrinking, and especially aggressive behavior in the animals. And the people, too, it's saying. Now, this is really crazy here. This is one of these fast reactors, pile 1. The first fission reaction by this Fermi, and Encino, it's not his name, I can't read that. I can't see it very well. My eyes are going, okay, I'm getting old. Everybody knows his name, Mr. Fermi. Anyway, in Chicago, they actually made the first fission reaction, and they used a bunch of graphite blocks here, and I'll show you this picture. It's pretty badass. Come on. My computer is old here, and this is it. The first reactor was made actually in a sports stadium at the Illinois University in Chicago. And they'd pull these here rods out of these graphite blocks that was stopping the neutrons, atoms, from getting through. And they had a reaction. They let it go for a few minutes, and Fermi shut it down. They say it probably would have been critical if he wouldn't have shut it down. He was just lucky at that time. Now let's go back here. You look this up. It's really interesting. It's called the Pile 1. And then it goes into the Pile 2. They knew it was too dangerous to do it at the stadium. And it really made this stadium radioactive. And to this day, it's still radioactive. Now, they went to the Pile 2, a little area outside of Chicago, Reed did the experiments with lead barriers and things like that because they realized how much radiation was actually escaping into the environment. And it's a whole story. They buried all this radioactive shit in a park in Chicago, and it's still there. You can't dig down. It's still affecting the environment. It's really crazy. And this was plutonium and a bunch of other crazy shit. It's going to be radioactive for 100,000 years. Crazy. In Chicago. Okay. Now this is the Enrico, when I say Encino, like California, Enrico Fermi nuclear generating station. This was the first online fast breeder reactor here in that they really wanted to try to produce electricity, and it was a dismal failure. Cost tons of money. I'm not going to go into the article where the money cost, but it was just millions and millions. And back in those days, this was built like back in 58 or 59, and they never really got it going. It was just a money basin where you just throw money into it and it just goes down this crevice and keeps on going, never comes back. And anyway, in 1966 they had a meltdown. They finally got the damn thing going partially, and it melted. And they, of course, nothing escaped into the environment, no plutonium or anything like that. And of course, you know it did. But back in those days, nobody even knew what even a nuclear reactor was. So, you know, they didn't have to tell anybody. And it was shut down in 1972. It did go online for a small time, but it was just too dangerous, and they couldn't control it, so they took these offline. But this is the part I'm going to get to right here. Now, I don't know if you can see this right here. I'm going to try to zoom in. But in August 8th, 2008, John McCain boy, was taken for a 45-minute tour of the plant, becoming the first actively campaigning presidential candidate to visit a nuclear plant. Now let's go back to the part of the behavior and how it shrinks the brain. Now remember, for a little while there, old John McCain boy, his head was swollen up really huge, and his whole body was all lumpy, and like he had something wrong with him. And he'd be walking around with this. I mean, his head was like 3 or 4 times the size of a normal head. And I don't know what he was doing trying to shrink it or what they did. It did get sort of back to normal. I don't know what they did, but he was affected by this radiation probably. And when you see John McCain screaming like, "We got to go to war," and every time somebody hiccups, we got to go to war with them. And he's like leading the campaign. You know, he's crazy. He's nuts. He's been radiated. I think that's his problem. This is Duck out.